3 reasons why you need hypnotherapy. The easiest way to reprogram your mind is through your subconscious. It's not like what you see on TV. It's more like a lovely guided meditation. It's 3 times more powerful than willpower alone. Trust your subconscious. It knows more than you do. Well, hello, and welcome to the Authentic Happiness Show, where we talk about whatever we want to, especially tonight.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm very good. How are you, Enzo?
I'm doing great. We're starting up our spring storms here in Kansas. Today was the statewide tornado drill kind of thing where the sirens all go off and you're supposed to make sure you've got you make sure you what would you do, where would you go, and all that. And the last couple of days we've had severely high winds of especially the western part of Kansas, like 80-mile-an-hour winds out there, like just knocking semi trucks over like dominoes. Yeah.
That scares me when weather is like, well, I've never experienced 80-mile-an-hour winds, I don't think, but I mean, we have had some pretty bad windstorms here before, and they're scary. I don't like that. I don't like it when it gets like that. It's like terrifying.
Nature will mess you up. You just have to know what to do. I've lived here for a long time now, but I've seen 3 tornadoes with my own eyes, kind of a thing. And it's one of those, there's nothing you can do. The most you can do is go hide underground, go to your basement and take the crash position kind of thing until, that.
Do you have a basement?
I do. I have a very specific spot. I have like a big heavy workbench that I can sit like underneath, and I have an old Kevlar helmet from my military days with goggles that I put on. The whole spiel. So
you have a workbench? You have a workbench?
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
I do stuff on, but I just pull a little stool out and just crawl underneath a little area where you would normally be sitting, kind of a thing. And it's very heavy gauge steel and all that. So if the whole place collapses, I'll be okay. I'll have to dig my way out, but I'll be alive.
So with basements, how often do you guys get flooding, like in the basement, or are they built well so that doesn't happen? Or
where I live, the previous owner, before I bought it, had flooding in the house. Basically, what ends up, because I have a sump pump, in my basement, where when the water level gets too high, it kind of drains it off, and there's a pond nearby where all that water goes. And they had an incident where basically the power went out, so there was nothing to power the pump, and the water just kept rising and rising, and it got 4 inches of water in the basement.
Oh wow!
But, still, that room, if you've got like boxes or whatever in the basement,
right,
it's destroyed. Anything like that, it smells forever and all that. But I have I've actually replaced it. The original one that was in there was getting a little old and making a lot of weird noises, so I replaced my sump pump and put a battery backup on it. So it'll last for be able to run the pump as needed for about 24 hours, which is usually about how long it takes for them to get the power back on if it does go out. Usually less time than that, but
it doesn't flood your basement though, does it?
oh no, not at all. It's
Oh, okay.
because
So
the sump pump is like, it's got your basement, and then in the corner, like one of your corners of your basement, there's like a hole dug into the floor of the basement, and you put a water pump in there, and then as water rises, the groundwater rises around you. When it reaches a certain level, the pump will pump the water
oh.
out somewhere else. So,
Oh, okay. So there's water rising around you though?
oh yes, it's
Okay.
the groundwater. The specific area where I live, like in the county I live in, is one of the lower parts of the county. But it's Kansas, so it's only like 8 feet between the highest point and where I live. So it's not that big of a deal, but still, that is the lowest point for water. And as long as you have the pumps set up, you're in good shape.
That's so weird to me. I guess because I live in a desert, maybe. Do you think that's why? It's so weird to me. Like
Yeah,
I can't
your
even.
water table is so much lower
It's
than like
like
where
so
it is
much
to me.
lower. Yeah, it's like
Because
never above us at all. Like
around where I live, I think we're at like 12 or 1400 foot elevation. So and we're right in the middle of the country. So that's not that high, really, compared to like sea level. It's like
right.
12 or 1400 feet versus, like, I don't know what it is like where you guys are, but
I
you
feel
guys
worried
are,
about that too here, I think.
is it?
Yeah.
It's
But we don't.
because if
I don't
you
know.
dial the clock back, like back, 66 million years ago when the dinosaurs were around, where I'm living right now was actually a very shallow sea that ran, and basically the Gulf of Mexico went all the way up to like Nebraska.
So I wonder if if it has like stuff to do with the soil too. So like when they're building homes with basements, like where they're building them and what type of soil is there probably matters a lot, right? So like
Yeah, it does. Like
I
my friends that live down in like the southeast part of Kansas, none of their places have basements because the ground is super compact and hard. And it actually has a lot of it's a specific type of rock that, like if you go anywhere and you see like those big flat pieces of like flagstone type rock,
mhm.
that's where a lot of it comes from, is that general vicinity, because it's just layer on layer on layer of heavy rock. So it would just be way too expensive to like put a basement in there. I mean, I guess you could, but it would cost a lot of money to do it.
It's weird because so I was telling you before we came on that I some of my rocks are magnetic. So I was working processing clay in my backyard the other day, and I had like some of my rocks that I had picked out that I liked, that I was gonna wash or whatever, and I accidentally dropped one of those car magnet things. Where'd it go? I dropped one of these thingies, and like my rocks stuck to it. And I was like, huh, interesting. So then I was like, I wonder how many more rocks are like magnetic, and like out of just the little bowl of them, like this whole cup is full of rocks that are magnetic. And
So
so
they're not necessarily magnetic, but they have like iron in them where they'll attach
they
to a
have
magnet.
right. So like the difference is
Okay.
there's rocks that will stick to a magnet, right? And then there's rocks that will attract metal. So these rocks do not attract metal. So like a paper clip won't stick to them or anything, but they will stick to a magnet. And so that means they probably have magnetite in them, which is a pretty common mineral. But my thing is it strange to have that much magnetite in this many rocks like in my area, or is that like a thing for, I mean, it
Oh,
seems
I don't I don't think it would be that strange for them to have just honestly just plain old iron in them as well, where that
oh
would
yeah,
certainly get attracted by a magnet.
it could,
So
yep.
That would be my guess over magnetite. I mean, well, your area and rocks.
Well, I don't know. I have no idea. I just know they stick to the magnet. That's all I know. And I know that the
No,
magnet effect is affected by them, right? So like I can make the rocks move by like moving the magnet over them. So that just makes me think, well, I know there's never going to be a giant magnet like hovering above my yard, but what if there was? Would my ground move? You know what I mean? Would it move the ground?
you can go to almost any like big tool store, and they do make like giant bar magnets with little wheels on them.
Oh
They use them
yeah,
at
they
job sites
do. They
where
do
they
it
can run them
for
over and
free.
pick up
We have
nails
one
and
here
screws and
at
all
the
that.
house.
Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah.
can try that out in your backyard, see what pops up.
Right? Oh man, I don't know. I think it's neato though. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember hearing in like history class back when I was a kid, was somewhere in Europe where they had a lot of natural, like magnetite and stuff, like where it is magnetized, where it'll attract,
Right.
ferrous metals and stuff like that. But and it's just naturally appearing. And when, back during, the dark ages and stuff like that, where they would have like an iron based like shovel and they were digging for
Uh-huh.
something, and these rocks would stick to the metal and they would freak out because they thought it was like magic, and it is like bad juju in that area, that
Well,
was all cursed and all that stuff.
what I read on Google, and I don't know, I don't really trust, I'm starting to not really trust Google because it's using the AI overview, and sometimes the AI overview is wrong or changes, or an AI
Right.
makes things up or whatever. But from what I read yesterday, the magnetite will like stick to a magnet, but it doesn't really attract iron. Like, but if it is a rock that attracts iron, like iron nails, then either it's a meteorite or it's something called lodestone. And lodestone
Yep.
is created when lightning strikes the ground and it vitrifies them, like
Hmm.
whatever stone or something. And lodestone, I guess, is really rare, but it's very magnetic or whatever. So
Yeah, I'd forgotten what it was called, but lodestone is the thing I was referencing earlier, where like it was sticking to their
yeah,
shovels and freaking people
yeah.
out.
Yeah,
I
so
can
that's
understand.
created
Either way.
from like electrical discharges and stuff, from
Huh.
what AI said. So I was like, that's what I believe that has happened in abundance in Arizona, actually. So that would, I mean, well, I don't have any lodestone in my rocks that I have here. I don't know that I don't have some somewhere though. I've got body parts. Just kidding. Oh, by the way, I mean like yes, like rocks that look like body parts. I don't actually have body parts in
Yeah,
my house. Everybody,
kidney stone. Yeah.
I'm gonna wind up getting myself arrested or something one of these days.
I got body parts all over my backyard.
What are you looking at, Miss Susie Q? What are you
Oh,
looking
just
at?
some cool questions to ask you guys.
Oh,
Okay,
Looking at some
okay.
cool questions to ask you guys,
and I bet
but
I
I
have
haven't found
cool
them yet.
answers.
So keep talking.
Oh, you haven't found them yet? I bet
I
you
mean,
know
I've
they're
got a
there.
bunch. I've got a bunch. Yeah, I know they're
So
there.
what I was planning on talking about, but I looked it up and it's not completely and totally accurate. So but it is still accurate because it is what's happening and it is the practice. But anyway, they were talking about how Dodge sued Ford in the 1900s because Ford was going to reinvest like some of they had like a $60 million profit. They wanted to reinvest the money into their employees and help like their employees enrich their lives and build their families and things like that. And Dodge was like, no, you're not. Because if if you do that, then people will expect us to do that, and we're not going to do that. So Dodge sued Ford and won, and
How did they win that?
yeah, they won, and because it was a publicly traded corporation, and they won, saying Ford was not acting in the best interest of the shareholders. They were not. He was not to put the customers or the employees first, and so he won. And there's been other court cases that have been upheld that, but then I guess there's been a court case that also did not uphold that. So I guess it's still being disputed, but this video said that it wasn't disputed. It said that it was upheld still in Virginia, which is where like 50% of corporations are domiciled or something. So but basically what I looked up or gathered is that it is not technically law, but it is the practice. It is what that's what like everybody goes off of or does or whatever.
Yeah,
so
no precedent. So
yeah, and it's like super unfortunate that it's that way, because that's that's not sustainable.
I would think there's more to it than that. I would assume, but yeah, in the overall nutshell of the whole thing, yeah, I can see that. It's just there's certain, like, especially like giant companies, giant industries,
Right.
where it just seems like making the workers happy kind of a thing is the last resort. It's like, okay, things are getting bad, so we'll throw them a bone and give them a little bit of this or that, only when they have to, kind of a thing.
Companies don't try to make the customers happy anymore either. I mean, the food has gotten worse, the service has gotten worse, and the prices have gotten higher. And it's like they literally keep taking things away from us, or like keep changing things, and we just do it and have to put up with it because there's nowhere else to like get your stuff. Like you have to participate in the world. It's all, it's almost like you don't have a choice unless you want to like literally be on like going through some kind of a Hunger Games, or being willing to like risk all kinds of stuff. I don't know. It's super, like Noah, my son asked me earlier if I could move to any country, like where would I move? And I, for the first time in my life, I literally couldn't answer that. I don't even know where I would want to move to. I'm like, can I just not?
Yeah.
Right. I was like, can I just not participate in the world? Could I just do that somewhere? Like, I don't know, anywhere. Like,
yeah, that whole Elon Musk, let's go to Mars and make our own stuff. Do that. It's like,
oh, I don't want to go to another planet because I like this planet. I like the planet. I just don't like the system. The system is terrible.
That's actually key to that very argument is if you're whatever country you live in, they all have their pluses and minuses. And you're thinking about moving to some other country because you don't like your country anymore, you need to fight to change your company to the way that your country to the way that you want it. It's if you're just going to be like, I'm done. This is too much work to try and like pass legislation and elect people with similar values, all of these other things that you would have to do to make big changes like that.
Right. But if that doesn't work, you can still just try to figure out a way to live inside of, because I think Arizona is like one of the coolest places in the world. I do want to see, it'd be cool to see other places, but I want to live here. Like, I don't want to live really somewhere else. So I don't know. It would be nice to like have some kind of a hope that, I don't know, everybody's not.
You can always have hope.
Correct. Well, so I do have a little bit of hope. I was reading through some legislation just for funsies, because I do that sometimes. I'm such a fun gal. Well, I play with rocks and I play in the dirt and I read legislation and I eat marshmallows. So I was looking through legislation, and some of the legislation didn't seem like it was that bad. I was like, wait, that doesn't sound bad. Okay. There was one for like foster kids and adoptions and stuff. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty good. So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to do something. It looks like they're actually doing stuff. So that's kind of, I can't say different, like I watch it like regular, because I haven't looked at it in a while, but it does look different than it did before.
And that kind of stuff is actually happening all over, all over the world, because a lot of people were kind of like on automatic for the longest times, like, the government's doing its thing, I'm doing okay, so I don't care about it, kind of a deal, or they weren't voting, they weren't paying attention to what's going on, law wise, in their county, state, country, kind of a thing. Because they were just living their life, going to work, doing their thing, raising their family, all that stuff, which is great, which is fine. And if you had something like that it's working well for you, then that's great. However, a lot of people a couple of years ago, when they were locked in their homes and weren't allowed to leave and go do what they wanted to do, started looking a lot closer at these agencies that were telling them that they couldn't go do these things, and if they wanted to go to work, they might have to go get a thing in their arm, all that stuff. So a lot of people started taking a much closer look at that.
What is that? A demon?
I don't know. It's not me.
Are you on the show?
It sounds like a demon.
That's fine. Sorry about that. My son was asking me something.
Getting out of the
Hello,
Sylvan.
Yeah. He said, "What you getting out of
Nutty
the
Buddy
freezer?"
out of there? What's back there?
He's a nutty buddy.
I have an unhealthy
He
obsession
has an unhealthy obsession with Uncrustables.
I understand.
Oh,
Me
me
too.
I understand.
Me too.
Susie said, "Me too, me too."
As a peanut butter
and something that
aficionado,
is, calorie and carb bombs that nobody should ever be eating. Why did they make them so delicious?
Right.
there is zero health in that, but they are delicious.
Right? I know. I like Uncrustables too.
They're probably banned.
I know.
in like 5
They probably are banned, and that's probably what Trump was talking about when he was like, "Yeah, in some countries they don't even let in our goods. They don't even let them in." He was talking about mac and cheese and Lucky Charms. How they're banned in like the UK. That's probably what he was talking about. Because
Yeah.
Donald Trump eats Lucky Charms.
He eats McDonald's all the
I
time.
know,
and Diet
right?
Coke. It's
Right. And then I heard that he, for his fun snack, that he has Laffy Taffy Tootsie Rolls and I don't know, something else. And I was like, oh, I don't know. He kind of likes the same kind of candy I like. Huh? What was that, Susie?
Donald Trump?
Yeah. I heard
We're talking about?
Donald Trump. I heard that. Yeah. I heard that on like, I don't Jon Stewart or somebody, or some comedian said it. So I don't know if it's true.
yeah.
But-
his diet is not great. He's not a prime example of maybe how you should. But the thing is that's how, I guess from what I understand, that's how he's always eaten. And
Yeah.
it's not like he's I mean, don't get me wrong, he's not winning any foot races anywhere or anything like that. But he's also not as
Confused as
destroyed
Biden.
as you were right. His body is not as ravaged as you would imagine someone that survived on that kind of stuff. So he's doing something, whether it's genetics or something. I don't know.
You know what I noticed, I think, last night, and I don't know if this was accurate or not. It could have been planned, but it seemed like when he said what he said about Melania Trump, like about her foster work with foster care and stuff, the look on her face, it looked like she wasn't expecting him to say all that, because she looked like she was surprised. Did you catch that? Or did you see, did you watch it? Oh, okay.
I had it on to the side while I was doing other things, so I was listening to it.
I should try to find a clip, but the look on her face, it looked like she was like surprised that, I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird because I thought it looked genuine. Like she was genuinely like she couldn't believe that he said something nice about her. The way that it looked. But I don't know. I thought that was interesting. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think that everything I think that there's a lot of things that need to change, and we like as people need to pay attention to the laws and what they're writing, because it's the legislation that really like gets us in the end.
Right.
and people are so busy focusing on other stuff and cheering for people or whatever that they don't even know like why they're cheering. It's just dumb.
Right. We've kind of gotten away as a society the last few years because of a lot of other things I mentioned before of the team, of red team and blue team and all that. It's like, no. What's good for everybody? What's going to be good for me? And that all means everyone else is also having a good, being affected by whatever their decisions they're making. It doesn't matter if you've got an R or a D or, whatever. It's
Right.
tell us your plan. What is it you're doing? What is it you're wanting to do? Explain it in detail to where an average person that is maybe listening to you for the first time would be able to understand it. And some people can't do that, and those people won't be around for long, I think. So it's interesting, and we're certainly going through a little turbulence right now for that we're not used to. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's just not what you're used to. Which there's a lot of people that cannot be bothered with change because that's a real hassle. Because I get it. The average person, they're raising their family, they're trying to make sure they're paying all their bills, all that stuff. They don't need to dedicate hours to try and figure out what's going on in the government and what's going on at their local level, and that, a lot of people ignore even their local elections and stuff that's going on in their own county, which that's going to affect them more than whatever they're doing at the federal level, to be honest. But people are starting to become a little more aware, I think, of that. Hopefully,
and I do wish though that they would I don't know that cutting everything is always the answer to everything, or if they're going to do that, hopefully maybe they'll replace things. I think things I don't know, programs, if they're going to cut stuff that's going to help kids have free lunch in school, then they need to implement programs that teach kids how to plant and grow food, so that they have a way to do that. Oh, my headphones just died.
Because I mean, even at the level of, yep, we can hear you. Yeah, even at the level of
okay.
You can go to Home Depot and get a 5-gallon bucket and some dirt.
Oh, they just came back to life.
and get some tomato plants and just grow that on your back porch, even if you live in an apartment or something like that. That's something,
right?
Right.
I mean,
if you grow some tomatoes, maybe little onions, maybe some peppers, you can make your own salsa and do whatever you and have whatever you want in it, kind of a thing. So,
right, and
that's kind of how I look at it.
Right, and it's a skill that you're teaching. So, wherever they'll take that with them wherever they go, it's a huge skill. So they should do stuff like that. That's not something that needs anything additional. So they could do that with things that are already in place. But I don't know. Everybody's just so gung-ho or cheery or not cheery, and it's everything still gets lost in the whole raw of it.
and that's the thing, is the people making the raw, I'm outraged at this thing because it's different from what I'm used to stuff. You kind of have to take a closer look at people like that and decide if you really need to be listening to them, because what is the overall effect of what's being done? Is it really that bad?
Right, but the way that they're doing it is alarming for people. They don't need to be doing it.
Yeah,
so
it's bam, 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 bam. Yeah,
chainsaw for humanity or whatever he said with the chainsaw. Is that was that really necessary, dude? I don't know.
Now,
is he high? Because he acts like he's high a lot. Elon.
Well, he is certainly on the spectrum and all that, but so he does have some quirks.
He's just very happy all the time.
Yeah, but looking at
he's
Twitter,
a little bit of the booger sugar.
I don't know. There could be something else going on, of course, but he's pretty much the richest guy in the world. He can do. I'm sure he has stuff that's even beyond that we don't even know about.
Right.
Some kind of wacky stuff. But if you look at how he ran Twitter when he bought Twitter, and he pretty much went in and fired 50% of the people that worked at Twitter HQ, and it still is running fine. Now, to be fair, there were a few people that he did say, you know what, the thing that you were doing, okay, we're going to have you back. So that was the thing, because he wasn't this, overruling oligarch was like, you will be gone and never to return. It's like, wait a minute, okay, maybe we shouldn't have cut this guy. This one guy in this one department actually was the one person that was actually doing 90% of the work while everybody else was slacking off. So we'll bring that guy back.
Right.
So they certainly did that. So.
I do agree with them trying to check and make sure that all the people that are on the payroll are actual people, and that because I do believe, and I know for a fact that there is fraud within government.
Yes, there is.
Because I actually know that happened before. The
number of people that lost their minds last week when he sent out to all of these federal workers, give me just 5 bullets of things you did last week or whatever it was over the last month, or whatever the question was. And people lost their shit about it. And he even explained later, it's like, honestly, we don't care so much about whatever their answers were. It's like, we're mostly looking for people that aren't returning those messages because they don't exist. Where there's a paid position where money is going to a person that works in this office, and that person doesn't exist, but their checks are still getting cashed. That money is going somewhere,
right?
It's just not to a person that actually exists.
They just wanted to make sure it wasn't an algorithm or whatever, so that's why they asked for the answer to be like that. Yeah, I watched the cabinet meeting they had. The televised cabinet meeting. That was also interesting. I don't think any of this is normal, but I mean, they don't usually do that. I don't think.
Again, that's
fine. I like it. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. So now I hope that, I don't know, people get in trouble though for being corrupt, because it's frustrating when you're not corrupt and everybody's corrupt and you're working as hard as you can, and it's like, I'm not going to be corrupt to get by. I just guess I'll be poor forever. Guess I'll just be poor forever, but that's okay.
So what do you guys think about those checks that are going to go out?
What checks?
The
$5,000
stimulus checks.
The idea was floated last week or the week before, where they've discovered so much money that's been wasted that's no longer going to be spent on that maybe they could do a kickback for you, because this is all taxpayer money that's being pissed away.
Oh yeah, I know
that maybe the taxpayer should get some of that money back, which the numbers they've been bouncing around is saying it's like, for everybody that pays taxes in the United States could get a $5,000 check.
That would be great, because then they can just give me $2,000 since I'm already paying them. So
the other side of it, the argument about doing exactly that is giving the people their money back that was being wasted, that they managed to save before it got spent.
Right, because it's really unfair that I owe them, and they've been stealing or wasting our money, and I owe them.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, that's not
okay. The other side of it is, instead of giving everybody in the country a $5,000 check, they take that money and put it towards the country's debt, because that's what you're paying your taxes for mostly, is to try and pay off this debt, which is gazillions.
Right. They should also relieve a tax debt that's under a certain amount, because having us owe them when they misspent our money isn't fair. That's like us owing them when they stole from us. Right. Especially because the tax codes, it's broken, and it favors people that have money to pay a CPA or somebody to do their taxes. Most people that don't have a lot of money can't do that. So if there's any kind of, and then people like me, hardworking realtors who work really hard and already don't get paid all the time, don't have to pay so many so much in taxes when you didn't hardly make anything. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And they need to do something about BlackRock owning everything. Who can do something about that? Can somebody do something about that? Because that's also not okay. That is that is so not okay.
To Nikki's question to me about what do I think about Al Green from yesterday during Trump's speech, it was obviously planned. It was by design. He was going to be disruptive till they kicked him out. That way they can say, look at what the Trump organization is doing. They're kicking this guy out. Because that's why you had so many other Democrats afterwards had their little ping pong panel of saying, liar, or no, that's not true, or what, all the different things that they had on there that they had pre-built beforehand. It's not like they suddenly was like, I can't believe they kicked one of our people out for being disruptive, talking against his lies. We're going to have a little thing. No. It was all prearranged. It was all by design. And in the end, they looked super foolish. It was, their little paddles, their little ping pong paddles.
I know. I was trying to figure out. I was like, are they trying to tell us a message as the observer behind? Because, how it had a message on it, and the camera behind them showed that message, and then it also. I was like,
yeah, it was. One side it was like liar, and the other side is
right.
It had something else. It was all so pre-planned that one person was going to be super disruptive enough to get kicked out, no matter what was said by any side or anything else. There was going to be one person that was going to get kicked out. It was Al Green. And so that way they can say he was being super racist and he was doing all of these things that were awful against him because he's from wherever. None of that crap matters, because it was all a play. It was all there's the Democrats have become like the school art play kid kind of folks, where they're just like putting on this act to be to get their stuff across, and nobody's buying it. They're really we're looking foolish when you've got Trump saying, hey, we've got guests in the audience. Here's a kid that survived 12 brain operations and has cancer and all that. He's always wanted to be a cop, and we're going to make him an official, Secret Service representative or whatever. Hey, it's very cool. And all of them are sitting there like, no, children with cancer do not deserve our appreciation or even applause or anything like that. It's like the look of that was horrific. They got destroyed in the everywhere else on social media, and everything else today is just it got to be tired, because it was just over and over about, like, how could they not even applaud sensible things that have been improved, like wasting of money that's no longer going to happen, and things that are it's just bananas.
I wonder if, I wonder if they will do something, or because he's putting tariffs or whatever on things, and to try to incentivize people to keep things here or whatever, right? Well, it's unfortunate when they outsource to call centers in other countries for certain industries, because I feel like it impacts the people that they're supposed to be servicing in a negative way. So, for example, FHA loan servicer, Onity, PHH Mortgage, they outsource their customer service calls to Philippines and to India, and there's a problem with that, because they're sending the borrower's information overseas with their social security numbers and stuff. Hello, isn't that an issue? I was like, wait a minute, because we have all kinds of fraud all the time, and I'm like, why are they sending borrower sensitive information to other countries? That should be something that's kept in the state, especially when it's a government backed insured loan. That's just
I agree.
Weird. So they need to fix that now, like right away, because that's weird. And there's also a communication issue because they don't live here. They're not familiar, like, and there's already, borrowers are already don't really understand mortgages sometimes. And there's just already confusion a lot of times. And that's just insanity, that you have to ask to get sent to the States. And then sometimes they say that you can't, because I was like, the hell I can't. Yes, you will. Because that's weird. So I wonder if they will look at that kind of a thing too and try to keep like that thing here.
That's in line with a lot of Trump's policies of keep all you companies that are doing deals overseas when you could be doing it in the US. That's where those tariffs come in, where it's like, oh, Apple gets kind of a pass because they're so entrenched in China building all of their stuff that they can't get out of it. And that's one of the problems too, is especially with China, is once you get locked in with them, there's no way you can make an affordable product. Well, basically, because they're paying their workers what would be slave labor
Right.
style wages compared to the United States. So it would cost them more to build it here. That's why they're doing all of these overseas things where they're going to low wage type places like China and India and various places in Indonesia and stuff like that, where they're paying pennies on the dollar versus what they would have to pay somebody in the US just to keep the bare minimum wage for them to even work. So it's basically you're getting the newest, spiffiest cell phone every year on the backs of basically slave labor.
But how is this going to work though? If BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street own like shares of most of the companies in the world, then how is that? You know what I mean? Like, so like if you only have like essentially 3 people that own like everything, then putting tariffs on like a certain country, well, that country doesn't own that. It's owned by BlackRock.
Right. And if they're not going to make a product, then they're going to start making things happen, because it's like, wait a minute, we're not going to be making as much money. We're not going to be making any money with all these tariffs in place. So let's open up a plant somewhere in, New Jersey or someplace, where in the United States where they can recoup their money. They're not making as much of a profit from paying slave wages in another country versus that, but they now have money. It all boils down to money. It doesn't matter whatever giant industry it is.
So if they own like everything, do you think the tariffs will either make it to where they have to start doing all their business or like here or most, or
yes,
we're just gonna go totally we're gonna go desolate and nobody's gonna talk to us anymore.
They are in the business to make money. If they don't have any money, then they don't have the worldwide pull that they really want and they've gotten used to. So if it's like, because these are like these giant multinational conglomerate type places, they don't give a crap about having 200 call centers in India. And it's like, oh man, we're going to get, taxed to crap or whatever it is, where that is no longer a viable option for them. So they open those same companies in the US now. They will certainly do that at the Harvey. They do not give a crap about whatever happens to those folks because they're in the business of making money, multinational.
I hope that is what happens. That would be
that's
great.
the design. That's the whole plan. That's his whole design about putting these ridiculous sounding tariffs on some of these countries and companies that are working in other countries. It's like, hey, you can still make whatever widget it is you're wanting to make, but how about you make it in the US?
And I do agree with the reciprocal thing. Like, we're going to charge countries whatever they charge us. I was like, why wouldn't it be like that anyway? That's, I don't know. That would be like, it should be like that anyway.
As Nikki in the chat says, look at Canada. Doesn't want to sell U.S. stuff now. They tariff the crap out of the U.S. for years, and that's absolutely true.
I'm okay with them keeping everything here like that. Yep, let them do that. Let them do that. But you know what? I will not eat Trump's French fries if he says I can have one. So I'm like, let them do good things. But I still think that all of them are not good people. But I appreciate the good things.
It does, when you're dealing with worldwide conglomerates like this, you kind of have to play their game at their level, which for us, being just regular people trying to live their lives, it seems ridiculous and just out of control almost. But there is a design behind all of it, and as long as they stick to their guns, it should work pretty well. I can't imagine how they would do anything different than that.
I don't know. He might be pretending though. He might be like being all like, "Oh, I love you guys," and then and then he's gonna like eat us. So you never know.
For anyone who doesn't know what Nikki's talking about here is, I don't know that he's got it. I would imagine he probably still has something like it in the White House now, but in his previous administration, Trump had like this big red button on his desk there in the Oval Office that he'd have people in there talking about, and they're looking at this button thinking, that's going to be like what launches all the nukes. That's going to be, we're going to war kind of thing. And he's like, I don't know what that is. Hang on. I said, maybe I should just push it. You think I should push it? And he would mess with people, and he'd like push the button real quick and pull his finger back. He's like, oh, in like 60 seconds, someone walks through the door with like a Diet Coke. that was his button. It's like, hey, bring me a drink. It was basically but he arranged it so when he was entertaining people in the Oval Office, for the first time, kind of thing. It's like, oh, I don't know what that red button is. Maybe I should put it. And the Diet Coke. So it was just something silly that he was doing, but it's honestly, that's actually kind of funny.
Well, what surprised me was when he said something about we're going to get rid of we got rid of the electric car mandate or whatever. And I'm thinking, wait, but isn't that his buddy's business? His buddy Elon?
It is. but he makes electric cars, sure. But some of the like California's like electric car mandate kind of a thing was ridiculous. It would have been impossible to make what they mandate by this year. There will be X% of the cars. Every car on the road will be an electric vehicle. They don't have the power grid to support that many electric vehicles on the road. It would be impossible. They have blackouts, brownouts as it is. Today, there's certainly 10 years from now when they say they want X% of the road, vehicles on the road will be electric vehicals. They don't have the infrastructure to support that.
I will never drive an electric vehicle.
Electric
unless I'm forced to.
Like local commuter kind of stuff. If you're just going back and forth to the work or to the grocery store or something like that, I could sort of see where that would be kind of useful. But it's not like I'm not burning gasoline because I have an electric
and
vehicle.
They can be remotely hijacked, so that's why I won't drive one. They can be hijacked. Somebody could take them over and with the gas.
Yeah, you could certainly do some things there to protect yourself, much like your home computer you're probably watching on us now, or a laptop or whatever, or a phone.
But my computer can't run me into a wall.
Right. Well, you could certainly have like a VPN and various antivirus software. Basically, there's things you could do to prevent that. it's on a car instead of your laptop.
Right. But for
So-
me, I'm like, if there's any possibility, I'm just not going to ride in that because, yeah, I'm all no antivirus software. Antivirus software fails sometimes. So, and I don't know. Or if there's ever a coup or something and they want to decide to like lock people in their cars or drive them all to a certain place so they can dump them in the ocean or whatever.
Well, and that is the thing. Yeah, like if the police are chasing you because they think you did something wrong, they could just
Turn your car
remote
off.
kill your car. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna they could make your car, lock the doors, and drive it to the police station.
Wouldn't that be scary? Ooh, you just gave me a good idea for a new movie about a wife who's like trying to get away from her husband, who's like a crazy guy who knows how to program cars, and he finds out, and then he kidnaps her with the car. And he's not in there. It's just her. It'd be a whole film of just her in the car by herself, but she's not controlling the car. And oh, yeah. Anyway, somebody who writes movies, there you go. You're welcome. Just kidding. I think about movies.
All right, you guys ready for a question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
fire away.
Okay, here's a question. What is the biggest news story you remember from your whole lifetime? What is the biggest news story that sticks out in your mind? It could be from a long time ago or from like yesterday.
9/11.
9/11's a big
Yeah.
one.
The
me,
Challenger exploding.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go as well. I had just graduated basic training in the Air Force and was on a bus ride up to northeastern Texas where my tech school was. And when we stopped off at some greasy spoon halfway between to have lunch, that's when we found out the space shuttle exploded that morning.
Oh,
we
you
had no
didn't see
idea.
it?
No, not at
We
all.
saw it, didn't we, Suze?
We were watching it in
We were
class.
watching it live. Yeah, a bunch of little kids. Like, talk about traumatizing a whole nation of children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard? Basically, because the big thing was there was a teacher on board.
Right.
The kids were watching the teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you heard that? I don't know if this is true at all, but it's an amazing
Yeah.
story. Even it is about Sesame Street. Did you hear this one? Are you familiar with this?
I don't think
what-
so.
Basically, they wanted to get kids more involved with like the space program and STEM in general and sciencey type stuff. Where they had come up with a plan where the actor who's in the costume of Big Bird on Sesame Street went through all the astronaut training to basically they were going to have Big Bird on the space shuttle, floating around and talking to the kids and stuff like that. Where the actor supposedly went through all the NASA training that you have to go through, because there's stuff like where you're like underwater, where you're acting like in a gravity, doing the centrifuge, all the things. And basically they had done all that, and then the shuttle was very tiny inside. There was not a ton of room, and the Big Bird costume is giant. And even if they only had like the upper part, they didn't have any like the legs part, it was still too big to fit anywhere inside of any of the open areas inside of the shuttle to get like a full shot of Big Bird talking to the kids kind of thing. And they're like, this is going to be horrific. We can't do this. It's just the logistics of having the costume on the person inside of the shuttle talking to the kids. They just couldn't do it. There's just no way
What were they supposed to do? Like,
they were supposed to just, hey kids, it's Big Bird in space. You can go into space.
No, I mean like the
study
Challenger.
hard.
Like, what was the mission? Like, where were they going? I forgot. I don't.
All of the space shuttle missions were all in low Earth orbit, like how the International Space Station is. It's not like they weren't like going to the moon or anything like that. That was never a thing that the shuttle could ever achieve.
They were just going into orbit and then coming back down.
For the most part, I mean that was the capability of. However, they were also launching satellites off of it. They were repairing other satellites in orbit. They were doing a lot of other things with it. It was basically this dump truck in in space that they could haul up there, and they could launch satellites from the cargo bay. They could actually pull in satellites that needed repairs and repair them, and then put them back out to where they needed to be. Things like that.
So like the space shuttle, they were going to go up and they were going to, with the teacher, they were going to go up and the space shuttle was going to stay in orbit while they were talking to everybody and stuff.
Yes. Well, and that was the plan with like the Big Bird thing. And the last minute they realized nobody can wear this Big Bird costume and be inside of the shuttle area where it wouldn't make any sense. Yeah. It's all those things.
Mount St. Helens.
So they scrapped the idea at the last second. It's like, well, wait a minute. We've got a teacher that is in the works to fly on a later thing. We'll just move her up and put her in the Big Bird slot for when they're actually going to go up, and that'll have to be what we work on. So they pencil in the teacher and all that. So, and then of course the massive explosion happens. Everybody's seeing it live on TV. Now imagine if it went as according to plan. Big Bird is going into space and the shuttle explodes.
That would have
been right.
How horrified would that have been for kids across the planet?
Right. Elvis dying. I don't remember that because I wasn't born yet, but I remember that. Michael Jackson dying.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty big.
Mount St. Helens. Remember O.J. Simpson?
What is Northridge?
I do remember O.J. Simpson.
Northridge. That was a Southern California earthquake. That they were actually. That was the one where they were actually. It was during the World Series, where
Columbine too.
Yeah, where they were actually guys in the outfield and stuff, and they're like, "What's going on?"
I remember we were watching it. We were watching the World Series.
Yeah.
You know what sticks out in my mind is baby Jessica that fell down the well.
Oh yeah, I remember that too. I remember baby Jessica. Oh, Princess Diana.
Oh yeah.
Shelly and I we stayed up all night that night, and we were like, while she was in surgery and everything. Yeah, we were watching everything as it happened.
I remember my roommate came and woke me up in the middle of the night and said, "The princess is dead."
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
Yeah. And then what's his name? Oh my gosh. Floyd. When that all happened and COVID, that was the other two things too. I'd never seen any of that stuff before. The lockdown was crazy. And like when all the protests were going on and Walmart closed early and they had like boxes, they had like their windows boarded up and stuff. It was crazy. That was weird.
And Nikki pointed out one of the things earlier. For whatever reason, everybody, at least of that generation, we're kind of aging out of that one. Is everyone remembered where they were when O.J. Simpson did the low speed chase in the white Ford Bronco through downtown L.A. That was one of those weird things because it broke in on all the news, every channel on TV across the entire world. They cut in live for this low speed chase of the white Ford Bronco that OJ may have killed his wife, kind of a thing in. And everybody was watching it. Everybody remembers where they were at because as it turns out, that was the day before I moved to the base here in Kansas. I got in here the day after that happened. And for whatever reason, people remember that. I don't know why, but I guess because it was just everywhere.
Okay, I have a question. If you were OJ, didn't he have his friend with him driving?
I think so.
I forget his name, but yes.
If you were OJ Simpson, who would be your friend that was with you at that time? Who would be that person that was doing that?
Well, Susie'd be. You would be.
Well,
yeah, you two would be share riding that whole Bronco experience.
Could I drive? Because Susie's driving makes you nervous.
I know. She won't let me drive ever. She says I'm reckless.
Yeah, you don't want to be reckless when there's
That's
30 LAPD vehicles behind you.
Okay.
It's
So,
not really Susie.
let's
It's not
see.
that she's reckless. I just have a fear. Like I have a problem
No,
when
you
I'm
don't.
not in control of like my own. That's why I fear like flying. And when anybody's driving me in anything, I just picture like them driving me into things. Like I don't know. It's weird.
Oh,
It's
that's
just
a horrible thought.
I don't picture it. I don't picture it. I just sometimes I get like really panicky. Like I get like where I really feel afraid, like that like we're gonna be in an accident, and I don't like that feeling.
I think that way too. Like when we're traveling and my husband's driving and I start to doze off and take a nap, I'm like, what if he wrecks when I'm asleep? But he never wrecks and he's never done it. He's like the best driver ever. But I don't know why I think that way.
I know it is. It's a scary thought. I think that way
it
too.
depends. When you start getting towards the end of a long driving day, because everyone has their different idea of I can drive for 8 hours or 10 hours, 12. I shoot for 12 hours, and once it's past that time, I need to start looking at some place to take a minute to relax, because I've certainly driven
That's a
like in
long
the
one. That's
16-hour
12?
range.
That's big.
I remember driving 16
way.
hours once, and I started hallucinating. It was
Oh wow.
way forward, like miles ahead of me, where you can see the highway, extending way in front of you. It's like a couple miles over. It looked like this giant white sheet was billowing over the entire, like all 4 lanes of the highway, one going one way, one going the other. And I was like, what the hell is that? I was like slowing down. People are honking and blowing past.
Oh no.
What is this giant sheet thing?
What if it was a thing, Enzo? What if you saw
Well, I guess
thing?
they were going to die. I was certainly not going to, because I realized, okay, there's no way that's real. So I pulled off at the next, it turned out, fortunately for me, there was a rest area right there,
What
and I pulled
was
off.
a giant ghost?
Yeah, it looked like if you've ever lived somewhere where like you hang your sheets up on the line outside, but the wind was blowing like crazy, where it just looked like this gigantic. It would have had to have been 1,000 feet wide sheet blowing across the highways up in the distance is what I was seeing, and it's like, and to me it was absolutely 100% real, and I was freaked out by it.
Have you ever Googled sightings of white sheet on highway just to see if anything comes up? Because maybe you saw a thing.
It always leads back to a lot of women in white ghosts by a graveyard.
Oh, yeah. Does that mean you did look it up?
Well, you know me. But it's certainly one of those weird things where it's like it was a straight up hallucination that I thought was absolutely positively real. Obviously it wasn't like it was a giant sheet in the news covering up, an east and westbound lanes. And this was near Lexington, Kentucky, I think at that time. So it's just one of those super weird things where it's like you can certainly drive too long and your mind just starts making stuff up because you're so locked into I'm doing this at this speed, and watching for like simple traffic stuff doesn't even it's like such a minor annoyance. And then you see this giant across the highway miles ahead of you.
That's crazy. I've never hallucinated. So but that's good, because that would be scary. I think I wouldn't like that.
It really was. Because for at least like a minute or so, I was looking at it, trying to figure it out. I was like, what is this monster shit? Did like some vehicle flip over, some Bed Bath and Beyond 18-wheeler flip over, and there's like just sheets flying through high winds or something? What's going on? Just trying to make sense of it. It's like I need a break. I need to pull over. I went to the bathroom, and I sat back in the vehicle after going to this rest stop. It's like I feel like I could maybe take a nap. And I literally just laid over onto the passenger seat for like I just needed like 10 minutes. It was about almost 2 hours. It was like an hour and 45 minutes or so. I was out. Felt great
Wow.
afterwards.
That's funny.
You
Yeah,
know
my eyes
those
start to
things on the
cross when
side
I
of the
get really
road
tired.
when you're on a like a long trip and they're called transformers, the power line things?
Mhm.
My dad,
Yeah.
well, I had a very active imagination. I don't know if it's because I grew up in Flagstaff or what, but I can imagine, like, I'm never bored. I can just imagine stuff
Same.
even now as an adult. But
Same.
I asked my dad what those were, and he said that they were transformers. So I remember, I
You
guess
thought they
it
were
was
Flying up
robots?
against the eye. Yeah.
yeah, I remember like thinking to like imagining them walking around and stuff, and they were
You're
Decepticons.
all Autobot, whatever.
Yeah,
They do look like that though, because they look like
I
big
know.
like bodies, because they have legs and they have shoulders and I picture them like that too.
Right. And
Totally.
I just recently told my dad that. And Lowell, I guess it was a couple of years ago when we were on a trip. I go, Dad, you remember you told me those were Transformers? He's like, no, I don't remember that. I said, well, I imagined this whole thing, that whole and he like, we just shared that and it was kind of funny.
That's funny. So that's funny that you thought they were that kind of a transformer, but because they are transformers. How funny. That is
Right.
funny. I'm gonna grab my so I think magnets are so cool. I was playing with my magnets again. I too am never bored. Like my husband kept walking in to the kitchen and I was all, yep, I'm still playing with my magnets. He's like, okay.
I'm never
but
bored.
yeah, well, it's weird. And I told Susie, I was like, I was going to trick you. I was going to try to trick her, but I couldn't because I wanted to tell her about it. So I was going to try to put magnets in a glove and then I was going to try to play a prank on her that I made something move without touching it. So that would have been fun. But anyway,
Funny.
I was messing with the magnets earlier and I can get it to like move weird because like you can feel it, right? You can feel like when it hits. I don't know. Wait, hang on. Oh, I'm afraid to do it in front of the computer because earlier I made it fly off and it hit something. Because I'm getting good at
That's what I've done
getting.
with magnets. Oh yeah, I think they're on the floor right here. Where did they go?
I'm getting good
I have
at
these
getting
two
it at
hematite.
like getting it at just the right, like where it's like, I can do it with repelling better than I can do it with repelling really well. I can get it to where it's just barely pushing and you have to like arc your hand a certain way and I can make this like stick out and like go all around all weird. It looks all possessed. But I accidentally, when I was playing with my rocks and the magnets earlier, I accidentally, because these are really strong and they find each other very well, I accidentally made some stuff like shoot out. And my daughter was like, be careful. So it would be so fun to do an experiment with a strong magnet, but probably also dangerous. No, I mean like in a science lab.
Yeah, it's called CERN. Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh, right.
Right.
That's true, right? Yeah, I'll just create portals and stuff. I guess if the magnet's too strong, that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely living in an electrical world. Okay.
I want you to think of how many cars you've owned in your lifetime. Can you name them? And which one was your favorite one? And which one was your least favorite one?
I can't. Well, I can say what I've owned, but and then we can count how many that is.
Okay.
I've only owned 4.
Oh, that's good.
Only 4?
One I only had for like not even a full year before I totaled it. So that meant I was walking for a long time afterwards. And then I had it was a 2-wheel drive. It was a 1988 Chevy Tahoe with the sport side type sides on it. It was the first year when they brought those back. And I totaled that after about 10 months, just because I ended up hydroplaning off of a
Oh,
road because it was
that's
very wet.
scary. You
And
hydroplaned?
yeah, I hydroplaned off the road and there were two kids. Like I was kind of like hydroplaning towards them, and I did what whenever you get into any kind of slide, you're supposed to steer with the slide. But I was like sliding towards two kids that were on the side of the road. So I still to this day remember, I was just screaming. I tried to do anything to avoid hitting these kids.
Uh-huh.
The next thing I know, I'm like pushed over as far as I can go against the seat belt. My feet are on the other side of the transmission hump on the floor. It was an automatic. And there's rain pouring in on me, and there's a guy at the window going like, "Hey, the ambulance will be here any second. Just relax, don't move around." I was like, "Oh my god!" I had hydroplaned sideways into one of those cement-based light poles, like at a mall.
Oh my
Everybody,
gosh. How
it hit
scary.
it hit right on the driver's side door. So basically, I had my seatbelt on, which was the best thing. But that just kept my ass in the seat, but I hit sideways, so I rocked to one side. My head went through the driver's side door
Oh my
window.
gosh, that's my nightmare. You're describing no, I'm like literally like my literal nightmare right now.
They
That's
yeah,
terrifying.
they took me, the ambulance showed up, they took me to the hospital. There was a big fat nurse that was applying direct pressure onto my head because I had blood just like streaming down my head, out of my, you get any kind of head wound like that, it bleeds like crazy. And this nurse was like trying to, because I kept bleeding, she was applying direct pressure on the top of my head. And as it turns out, because then they like wheeled me down to, I was on the backboard, the whole spiel, the neck brace, all that junk. They take me down to do x-rays. This is in 1988, 89, whatever year it was, somewhere in there. And they moved me from one gurney to the other to do the x-rays. And by that time I was as lucid as I am right now, which I get it is marginal whether how good that is. But I was basically I was fine. But there's a period of time of about like a couple of minutes where I remember seeing the kids and turning the wheel and screaming. And the next thing is, I'm lumped over with rain pouring in on me and all that. There's a period of time where I don't remember.
Right.
Mostly because I had a concussion because I'd shoved my head through the glass.
Oh my
But
gosh, that's so
so
terrifying.
I didn't really, because I was joking with people. I was being like, basically I am right now. I was thinking light of the whole thing. Like, yeah, whatever. I feel fine. Yes, my head hurts, but whatever. Because I was actually blaming my head hurting because the big fat nurse that was like smashing her hand into my head.
How
But
fast were you going?
not that fast, probably 20, 25 miles per hour. Basically, there was like this S turn on this road that they had recently repaved.
Oh,
So the water was kind of like sitting on top of the road instead of draining off properly. And it was a lot of different things that went into it. But so they take the x-rays. They're going to move me back onto another gurney to take me back to the emergency room because I'd already bled through a different pressure bandage in my head still. And one of the nurses, whoever the x-ray tech was, is like, I don't think we need it, because they were going to move me back onto the original one, but I still had the backboard on there, which obviously I didn't need at that point. She takes the backboard off and like leans it against the wall to get it out of the way, move me to the other gurney. And when they move me around, this is when it kind of hit me that, man, I'm kind of hurt. Is I saw the backboard leaning against the wall. There was so much blood that had come out. It was on the
Oh
backboard. It
my
was running
gosh.
down like little rivers down the backboard as it was leaning against the wall. I was like, oh crap, I'm really.
oh
Ooh.
no. You
But
were probably in shock. That's probably why you thought you were
yeah,
fine.
that's totally what it was. But they
Yeah.
took me
Yeah.
back, and finally a doctor is like pushing back when my hairline was a little lower. Everybody, I'm an older gentleman now. My hair, because the spot was actually like right here, and where it was busted open, and they were pulling my hair out of the way. And like, oh wait a minute, give me the forceps. Tink, tink, tink. I had
Ow.
safety glass embedded into my head.
Oh
So
gosh.
when the big fat nurse was applying direct pleasure, she just
Oh my
pushing it into my
gosh. She
head.
was pushing it in your head. Oh
But,
gosh. Oh,
I was like, screw you,
yikes.
big fat nurse. But but I actually had a tiny little piece of safety glass for years. I had this little this little nub that I could certainly feel, which
Ah,
back then was within my hairline because
did it hurt?
no, it didn't. I mean,
Did
no,
it ever come
obviously
out?
yes, like years later, I was like washing my hair and I guess I don't know if my fingernail or I don't know what it was, but it just like bink and tink 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 on the
Oh,
floor of the
weird.
shower. It just popped
How
after a
weird.
few years. Yeah, glass is super weird when it gets embedded into your body. It'll sit there for years and then it'll suddenly decide it's time to come out. It's
Oh,
strange.
ow. I have issues with little pieces of glass too. He just talked about
Yeah.
all like 4 of my fears and
That's right.
nightmares
I've lived
all in
all
one
of your
story.
fears.
You have. Man, I had a nightmare where my head was like, hit through the window like that. That was a terrible nightmare. So,
Wow.
So yes,
That
I
was
do
very
remember a few of
interesting.
my old vehicles.
yeah, that's so. Well, so for me, I had my first car was a Cavalier, which Susie and I were in an accident in it. I had just got my license. I had it for 6 days, and we were driving to school, and we were rear-ended by this girl in my drama class. And so that was my first car. And because of that accident, I got a $3,500 settlement. And that's how I bought my second car, which was a Ford Tempo. And then my next car was a Hyundai. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. I got a Dodge Neon when my grandma passed away. And then I actually gave that car to somebody and I got myself the very first car I ever bought, like with money that I earned and not money from an accident or whatever, was my Hyundai Elantra. And then I traded that in. It was like gold.
Oh, cool.
And then I traded that in for a sports car, a Hyundai Tiburon.
What kind?
I loved that
Oh, yeah.
car, but it was not practical at the time because I had a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old son, and I got pregnant with my daughter. So that's why. And I had bucket seats, and it was a stick shift. Loved that car. And I actually had to give it back to the bank. Oh, is that it?
That's a young me, 1988.
Wow, your hair's
And,
dark.
my
Your hair's dark. I thought
Yep.
you would have been a blonde, Enzo. Your hair's lighter
Oh,
now.
yeah.
But
You're
if you
cute.
look at,
You're handsome.
I
You
slammed
are.
into, like I said, I slammed into like a cement-based light pole. If you look right where my head would be, yeah, you can see my
Oh,
cursor.
God.
Ow.
This part of the door wrapped around the thing. That's right where my head was. If I hadn't had my seatbelt on, I would have head-butted that pole itself and probably would have killed it.
Ow.
Damn.
You look
Yeah,
like
I would have.
Jack from Lost.
You look like you would
See
have
the
been my
whole
boyfriend.
accident in
for
the
sure.
eye.
What'd you say, Susie?
I said he looks like he would have been my boyfriend for sure.
Oh,
Those are, I like.
he does look like he does. You do look like you would have been her boyfriend for sure.
Hey, there you
That's
go.
funny.
There's unshaven me right out of the hospital. Hey,
Oh,
here's your
God.
car. This place has this is the frame of the vehicle, which is bent and twisted, so that's automatically totaled right off the bat. So
Yeah.
I love your shirt.
Looks like
That's the whole Blues Clues Joe vibe going
Looks
on
like
there.
rugby. He's like, I know you'll
it
play
is a rugby
rugby.
shirt. Yeah.
Huh. That's funny.
There's the pole.
Well,
There was-
oh my God, that is a really big pole, and it's really, and
you
it's not
can
even
see
dented.
the whole thing
Oh.
is bent. When
Oh.
you drive, if you were to drive up that road, probably even today, the light that's on the top is shining like in your face when you're driving up instead of
Oh,
straight down. But there's like a 2-inch gap of dirt right here where the whole thing shifted.
oh shoot.
And there's young me with a late night with David Letterman sweatshirt on.
And very white shoes. Your shoes are clean.
Yep.
What town was that? What town were you in? Where are you?
This was Plattsburgh, New York, which is
Mm.
all the way up north of, you go from New York, you go to Albany, you keep going north, almost to the Canadian border is where Plattsburgh Air Force Base was many years.
Who's taking the pictures?
I had a friend with me that took a picture, and there was a second one. Oh yeah, this is the other direction. There was still mud and stuff throwing up on there. This is the opposite.
Oh.
This is the side that I hit. And here's the mall in the background that I was actually driving to. Yeah, there's I certainly remember a few of my old cars. There, apparently this is the one we like, I guess. This isn't for the ladies. So
Wow, that's scary.
So
I'm always
four,
afraid of
Jara.
heights.
You left off at 4. Is that all you had?
Oh no, I didn't have 4. So after my Tiburon, I got my my Aunt Kate and Uncle Larry gave me a car, an Oldsmobile, and then I had that hoopty, and when I became a realtor, and then I used my real estate stuff to buy my car that I have now, which is my Hyundai Tucson. So 6, I guess. Oh, and then I drove my mom's PT Cruiser for a little while, but that wasn't my car.
PT Cruiser.
I just took over the payments, and then I T-boned somebody.
Oh, I left one out. I forgot one. My HHR.
I was only 20 when that.
Okay, you guys. I had
crash.
1, 2, 3, 4. 9,
You were only 21. What?
12 cars.
12. Wow.
You were 21 when you've gotten that wreck?
I was 20 when because it happened October 1988. My birthday is in November, so I was still 20 when I wrecked that thing out. So of course my insurance was right.
Oh yeah.
For many years after that. So I walked for like a year plus. I spent a lot of time. That's actually when I started my just deploy me somewhere, because I can't do anything at home because I can't afford a car, and I can't afford the car insurance because the insurance was like, if I had like a similar truck like I had, it would have been well over $3,000 a month just for the insurance.
Wow.
Right. And you're a boy. A 21-year-old boy is higher.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're a 20-year-old kid and you just totaled out a truck, you're walking for a while. Doesn't matter what it is. But my next vehicle was trying to remember, it was a Chevy, what the hell was it? A Chevy Sprint. It was a Chevy Sprint. And it was the predecessor of the Geo Metro, if you remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Tiny little car. It was so tiny. I actually picked it up and like moved it one time in a parking spot because someone yelled at me because it's like, why did you park so crooked? And I just picked up the back of it and moved it. It was a tiny little front wheel drive vehicle with a massive 3-cylinder engine in it. The only thing that I could pass was a gas station, because even as an automatic, it still got like 42 miles to the gallon. It was stupid great on gas.
Huh.
But and it actually did fantastic, because living in upstate New York, it did fantastic in the snow because had these little skinny tires on it, and it would like ride on top of the snow like a sleigh and just kind of like go around. It was actually amazingly how great it did in the snow.
Huh. That's funny. You had 12 cars, Susie?
I did.
You're a car hussy.
So I had the Nissan Standard when I was 16. Had that for a couple years. And then that one got wrecked, but I wasn't driving it. Nobody really knows that. Everybody thinks I was driving it, but there was a secret. So this guy named Jimmy Reyes was driving it, and we were doing donuts in the snow in a parking lot. And we crashed into a tree, and we all almost died, but we didn't. So after that one, I had the Ford Escort.
Why were you doing
And that's
donuts in a parking lot, dude?
to make the car go like this. Woo!
I know, but why?
It's
dangerous.
fun.
You pull the emergency brake up, and your car goes.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So it was a stupid thing to do. Don't ever do that at home, kids.
So would you slide
Yeah.
too far? How'd you
You
hit
need
the
a
tree?
large parking lot for that with no lights.
He must have just totally. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
What
I
parking
mean, the
lot
whole
was
thing
it?
is losing control.
What parking lot were you in?
It was the parking lot by that softball field on the east side, East Street by La
Oh.
Fonda.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
that
not
tree's
a
still there.
big parking lot, dude.
I know it's not big enough. Anyway, it was dumb. It was really dumb. We could have died. Evie saved my life. I probably would have been dead if it wasn't for her, because she grabbed onto me like this. Anyways,
Wow.
then I got the Ford Escort, and that's my least favorite car that I've ever had. I hated it. It sucked. It sucked. It was cute though, but it sucked.
Oh, my nose itches.
And then after the Ford Escort, I had a maroon. I think it was a Toyota Camry or a Toyota. I don't know what it was. I'm trying to remember. It was a Toyota Corolla or Camry, something like that. And then after that, I got a blue Cavalier, 4-door. That was a cool car. And then
You
I
had a
liked
Cavalier too?
that Cavalier so much that I got a gold Cavalier 2-door, and that was a good car. I liked them. Cavaliers were good. They were really good to fix, and they were really good on gas. And then after the gold Cavalier, this is my favorite car, the Dodge Stratus. It was the S series, Dodge Stratus S series, fully loaded.
Nice.
That was my very favorite car. And then after the Dodge, the transmission went out, I got the Audi A4 S series, fully loaded, and that was the biggest mistake of my life. The Audi A4 S series ruined my life. It ruined my life because all my savings that I had ever saved had to go away because of that car. Because every time when it started to break, every time something broke, it was $4,000 to $5,000 every single time. And I was only like, I don't know, 27, 28.
Huh.
Terrible. And then the guy got the FJ Cruiser, and that was my other favorite car. I loved that truck. And also, when I had the FJ Cruiser, my step-grandfather left us a car, and it was a Buick Park Avenue. And that's when I was breastfeeding Timmy. So I'd be in there pumping my breast.
Nice.
That's all I remember back then.
Why would you pump your breast in the car?
Because I was I was a home hospice.
Oh, you would go do it in the car?
I was in the car all the time.
Oh.
And now I have the Nissan Altima. Oh wait, there was one other one. When the COVID happened and we got those checks, everybody got those checks. I went and got an HHR, the white HHR. Remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
The white car.
I remember that one.
Now I have the Nissan Altima.
Yep, she does.
But my very favorite car was the Dodge Stratus. That was badass.
I think my favorite is I had a Geo Tracker. That's what I upgraded from the little red, 1 nothing 3-cylinder engine car that was great on gas. But basically, this was just a 4-wheel drive version of it. And I'd bought like it had like a convertible roof kind of thing as stock on it. But I'd bought this fiberglass plug where it was like 2 pieces, where like basically you could have like a moonroof kind of thing that you could take off, or just the whole back end of it, for like like a Jeep kind of an idea. But I love that thing. That thing was great. I went 4-wheeling with it up in the mountains and stuff. It was actually a great little vehicle. I loved that thing. It was a lot of fun.
It'd be cool to have a truck with a little camper on it. I I'd like
Yeah, that'd be
that.
cool.
I'd like that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna probably get off here because
Speaking of cars, how's the van hunt going? Did you find anything on the van lately?
Well, I'm actually in a weird lull right now as far as the van hunt is mostly because I'm looking specifically for a Ford Transit, medium roof, medium length. They come in like 3 different lengths and 3 different roof heights. I'm looking for the medium. But right now they haven't come out with the 2025s yet. And the
What's happening
2025s
at your
are like,
house, Jara?
I don't know.
what?
We're hearing whatever that
What's happening over there?
Oh,
Sounds like a
okay.
fire.
we're hearing everything.
I guess they can hear you. Okay, that's why I was gonna get off. Noah's gonna make himself some dinner. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's okay. It's fine.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, you could hear. So
You kind of like are in like a
Well,
are you in
basically
like you know what I've read? When you're trying for something really hard, if you stop trying, that's when it happens.
right. Basically the gist of it is the 2025s haven't come out yet. They're only like just now starting to trickle into dealerships like right now. So what I'm looking for is the trade-ins, people that trade in their like 3 to 5 year old vehicle for a brand new one. And then I'll take whatever their used one is. But it's basically, I'm going to have to wait until at least the end of March, beginning of April timeframe, till those start hitting the market. Because right now, a lot of the good ones that you would want to get have all been snatched up, and everybody else is doing the same thing. They're waiting for everyone else to trade in to the newest ones, and then we get whatever the trade-ins are. So if you'd asked me like 8 months ago, there were dozens of options where I could have gotten. But I wanted to wait for a few other things and then drop $7,000 on an entire electrical system for a van I don't have, because if I were to try and buy it today, it would have been closer to about 14,000. So it was one of those things where, do I spend chunk of my savings now for the better deal, and then I'll have to wait a little longer, which is what I did. I think it'll pay off in the long run. So basically, I'm still sitting on. Basically, I've got another month of basically just sitting around where I can't do a whole lot of things. Which is why I've canceled my plans for going to Contact in the Desert this year. I'm getting this van, and anything that's going to cost me a lot of money to, because I can easily drop like $2,000 for a trip out to Contact in the Desert with hotel. Mostly it's 99% of that is all hotel stuff, but which I would still, even once I get the van, I would still stay in the hotel for those 4 days that the whole thing goes on, because I'm not going to live out of a van for 4 days. This is kind of a weekender, kind of a adventure, kind of a van, kind of a thing. It's not a permanent move. But anyways, once I do get the van, I'll be able to start doing stuff right away. And honestly, for a lot of the upgrades I have planned, I can't do until the weather stabilizes, which basically means waiting until April anyways, because I can't paint anything if it's going to get down into close to freezing at night and stuff like that. I can't put up like sticker type things on the inside for sound insulation and all that stuff, because it won't hold, because it gets too cold at night. So I'm not really, I don't feel like I'm really like behind the curve or anything like that. It's just, I wasn't expecting Ford but wait this long to get their 2025s on the market, which is March.
Yeah, it's already March.
Yeah, that's what kind of blew apart my plan. So I'm just sitting back, keep saving my pennies, and sitting in my house watching a lot of TV and not spending money is basically what I'm doing right now.
Good. That sounds good. That sounds like a dream come true.
I'm gonna have to sign off, guys, because I have to work tomorrow and I'm sick.
Yeah.
So
Let's
Okay.
go ahead and sign off. So thanks everybody for joining us. Please hit the like button on your way out and subscribe
thank
and
you,
tell your friends
everybody.
about us. And you guys, thanks for joining.
Reminder for
And
everyone that this weekend is when the U.S. switches overs for daylight savings time this coming weekend. So
except for us,
Right.
we got our own
Right.
time.
for you guys, Arizona, of course, I understand. Which
Right.
honestly, I secretly respect you for that. But who knows? Maybe this will be the last time we'll actually do it. But
Who knows?
you expect different times for different, for shows and stuff like that
Right.
here in the coming weeks as we make that changeover.
Right. Yes, thank you, everybody, and thank
All
you
right,
for
guys.
coming on.
Everybody have a great rest of
Unusual
your
night.
week, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Good
Good night.
night.